I'm not sure what exactly drew me to the dark web in the first place. I wasn't some kind of hacker or a criminal mastermind, just an ordinary guy with too much curiosity for my own good. For me, the dark web was like a forbidden fruit, a place that felt off limits but irresistible. I'd heard the stories, knew the dangers, but I never thought any of it was real. It was like a haunted house, creepy from the outside but ultimately safe if you never really believed in ghosts. I'd been browsing the dark web for about a year. At first I stuck to the shallow stuff, conspiracy forums, chat rooms, and illegal goods. Nothing that ever felt truly dangerous. But as the months went on, I found myself drawn deeper and deeper into its shadowy corners. Part of me wanted to believe there was something darker out there, something that wasn't just some hacker trying to steal your credit card or a black market drug dealer pushing fake pills. I didn't expect to actually find it. It was a Friday night, the end of a long week, and I was just killing time. I'd had a few drinks and was feeling adventurous, so I started poking around some obscure forums I hadn't visited before. That's when I saw the post. It was buried in the middle of a thread about online mysteries and hidden websites. The title was vague, something like, "Are you ready to play?" Most people ignored it, probably assuming it was spam, but something about it caught my attention. The post itself was just a single line of text and a link. For those looking to play the game. I should have closed the tab right then and there, but my curiosity got the better of me. I clicked the link, my heart racing with that familiar mix of excitement and fear. It felt like stepping off the edge of a cliff, not knowing what was at the bottom. I expected it to be a joke or maybe a link to a virus, but instead, I was greeted by a plain black screen with white text. You have been invited to play. Accept or decline. Beneath the message, there was a timer counting down from 10 minutes. I stared at it, feeling a strange pressure building in my chest. What would happen if I accepted? What would happen if I didn't? I should have just closed the browser, but instead, I clicked accept. The screen went black for a moment, then a new message appeared. The game begins now. Rules will be revealed soon. There were no instructions, no tasks, just that cryptic message. I waited for something to happen, but after a few minutes, the screen stayed blank. I felt a pang of disappointment, thinking it had all been a waste of time. Shrugging it off, I shut my laptop and went to bed, figuring that would be the end of it. The next morning, I woke up to a notification on my phone. The message read, "Rule 1, you are being watched." My heart skipped a beat. I sat up in bed staring at the screen in disbelief. It had to be a joke, right? Maybe a virus that had installed itself when I clicked that link. But something about the message felt personal, invasive. I brushed it off, convincing myself it was just a coincidence. But then the messages kept coming. By midday, I received another. Rule 2, you cannot leave. At this point, my paranoia was starting to kick in. I started looking around my apartment, checking my windows, my front door, even under the bed, like a kid scared of the boogeyman. I tried to calm myself down, reminding myself it was all just a stupid internet prank. That night as I lay in bed, I heard footsteps outside my apartment. Not loud ones, just the soft, almost rhythmic sound of someone pacing up and down the hallway. I crept to the door and peered through the peephole, but the hallway was empty. Still, the sound continued. When I woke up the next morning, there was another message waiting for me. Rule 3, no one can help you. Day 3. The paranoia builds. I started to lose it. The messages were coming more frequently, popping up at random times during the day. I couldn't ignore them anymore. Every time I received a new one, I felt like a noose was tightening around my neck, slowly choking me. I tried to go to work, tried to act normal, but everything felt off. I kept checking my phone, waiting for the next rule to appear. My coworkers noticed something was wrong, but I didn't tell them. How could I? They'd think I was insane. By the time I got home that evening, I was on edge. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I even went so far as to cover up the camera on my laptop just in case. But that didn't stop the messages. Rule 4. Failure has consequences. Failure? What the hell was I supposed to be doing? I hadn't been given any tasks, no instructions beyond the cryptic rules. I felt like I was being set up to fail, like the whole game was some cruel joke designed to make me lose my mind. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound in the apartment made me jump. The floor creaked, the wind howled, and somewhere outside, I heard what sounded like whispering. I tried to tell myself it was just my imagination, but deep down, I knew that something wasn't right. At around 3 a.m., I received the final message. Rule 5. You are no longer just a player. You are the prize. The descent into madness. The next morning, I woke up in a cold sweat. My phone had gone silent overnight, but the sense of dread hung over me like a storm cloud. I could feel something shifting in the air, like a change in the atmosphere. I tried to go about my day, but my thoughts were consumed by the game. By noon, I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to call a friend, someone who knew more about the dark web than I did. I figured they might have some answers, or at least help me figure out if I'd been hacked. But every time I tried to make a call, the line went dead. Then the power went out. I was plunged into darkness, my heart pounding in my chest. I checked my phone, but it was dead too. The messages, the rules, everything had stopped. I thought maybe, just maybe, it was finally over. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen. That night, I heard the footsteps again. This time, they were louder, more insistent. I grabbed a kitchen knife and sat in the dark, waiting for whoever was outside to make their move. But they never did. The footsteps just stopped. I didn't sleep at all that night. My mind was racing with thoughts of what the game really was. Was it some kind of elaborate prank? A sick social experiment? Or something darker, something supernatural? I didn't have any answers, only questions. Day 4. The game escalates. By the 4th day, my paranoia had reached a fever pitch. I hadn't left my apartment since the power went out. I didn't trust anything or anyone. The isolation was suffocating, but I felt like leaving would be a death sentence. The rules had said I couldn't leave, and I wasn't about to test that theory. But then something strange happened. My phone buzzed again and a new message appeared, despite the power still being out. The game is almost over. You must run. Run? Run from what? I didn't know. But the fear that gripped me was unlike anything I had ever felt before. My instincts screamed at me to get out, to run as far and as fast as I could. But where would I go? The game had reached into every corner of my life. There was no escape. Then came the sound of someone knocking on my door. Not a light tap, but a heavy, deliberate knock. It echoed through the apartment, sending chills down my spine. I froze, clutching the knife tighter, staring at the door as if it might burst open at any second. The knocking stopped. I approached the door slowly, my hands shaking. I looked through the peephole, but there was no one there, just the empty hallway. But when I turned away from the door, I saw it. The same message from my phone, scrawled in black letters across my living room wall. Run. The escape. I didn't wait. I grabbed my jacket, my keys, and bolted out of the apartment. I ran down the stairs, my footsteps echoing loudly as I raced toward the exit. But when I got outside, everything felt wrong. The street was too quiet, the air too still. It was like the world had been drained of life. I jumped into my car, started the engine, and drove. I didn't care where I was going as long as I was moving. I had to get as far away as possible. But the farther I drove, the more I realized there was no escaping the game. Every street I turned down, every road I took, it was like I was being funneled toward something. And then my car died. I was stranded, miles from anywhere, on a desolate road in the middle of the night. The silence was deafening. I sat there for what felt like hours, my hands gripping the steering wheel, waiting for something, anything to happen. That's when I saw them. Figures, barely visible in the dark, standing at the edge of the trees. I couldn't make out their faces, but I could feel their eyes on me. They were watching, waiting. The game wasn't over. It had only just begun.